Oh, I was going to talk about our audience about a little something different today. I was going to talk about that ridiculous publicity stunt that the flotilla headed for Gaza, including that uneducated special needs child, Greta Thunberg. How dare you? I was going to say that the flotilla is everything that's wrong with the world, that the people and the reasoning for it combined are the epitome of what we're fighting against. I was going to say that we are in the fight for Western civilization, for freedom, for democracy and reason, while they're doing everything in their pathetic attention-seeking power to fight us on every one of those things from the left. But there's something far worse out there than an overgrown, attention-seeking child paid by globalists and terrorists to sail on an ocean, making TikToks and faking a kidnapping to support terrorism. We are fighting something far worse and bigger than that right now. When I saw this headline coming from The Atlantic, no surprise there, I knew I had to say something about it instead. Read that. The headline about Charlie Kirk. Quote, "The other martyr. MAGA has found its George Floyd." Now, this is one of the more disgusting things to come out of The Atlantic, and that's saying a lot. We know full well which way that outlet leans. That's fine. But this isn't about party lines. This isn't about bias. This goes far beyond false equivalencies. I don't know how hard to scream or punch the screen when I see that headline, The Atlantic. First, they make sure to point out that hundreds of white people took to the streets in masks and that they prayed and vowed to renounce their white privilege that marked them original sin. Wow. Yep, they wrote that. That was real. But here's where it gets worse, if that's possible. As if the headline alone wasn't bad enough. Then the piece talks about George Floyd as a flawed and desperate man who bore the weight of the world's failings. George Floyd, the felon. Are you kidding me? He bore those so-called failings by robbing a pregnant woman at gunpoint and stealing and becoming a crackhead. Oh, and then they're pretending that a George Floyd now equals a Charlie Kirk. Can you believe this? Is this for real? Is this The Onion? Are they punking us? No damn way. George Floyd was a career criminal, overdosing and overdoing fentanyl and attacking cops while trying to counterfeit money, trying to buy stuff with counterfeit money. Charlie Kirk spoke at events, expressed his political and religious beliefs, ran a company, and loved his wife and children. Everything else is slander and defamation, and words taken completely out of context by people desperate to erase Charlie's effectiveness and truth. Treating them as equals is a benchmark for moral corruption. Charlie Kirk is nowhere near what George Floyd was. It's awful that you mention them in the same headline, Atlantic. Here's all you need to know about the death of George Floyd and what came out of it. The fact that the former head of Hamas, former because Israel managed to take out that terrorist thug, linked Hamas to Black Lives Matter. And who pointed this out? None other than Charlie Kirk, who wrote back in 2023, several days after the October 7th attacks, quoting Charlie, "A week ago, I was ridiculed for linking the poisonous ideologies of Hamas and BLM. But at heart, they're the same hateful ideologies. Both rely on lies. Both commit the worst atrocities imaginable, then scream racist when held to account." Here's the proof.
أنا أغتنم هذه الفرصة وإحنا بنعيش ذكرى القتل المجرم العنصري لجورج فلويد. جورج فلويد قتل في مثل هذه الأيام نتيجة منهجية عنصرية موجودة لدى أشخاص. اليوم هذه العنصرية التي قتل بها جورج فلويد يمارسها الاحتلال ضدنا وضد أهل.
Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, wanted a better America for everyone, especially young people. He was a leader and a godly man who would discuss issues with anyone at all. Anyone willing to step up to that microphone, he would take him on one-on-one. Charlie lived a wholesome life, never broke the law, was a loyal husband, a loving father, a man of faith who never harmed anyone and who believed in civil discourse between people of every color, sex, and faith. Yet Democrats stood on the House floor and spit in his face before he was even buried, after he was assassinated, before he was buried. But they let a criminal be elevated to sainthood in George Floyd, while a true angel in Charlie Kirk gets dragged through the mud. That's the Democrat Party for you folks. And let me be very clear, and I know I speak for a great many of you when I say this. I will not now, nor will I ever kneel down for a low-life thug who is a menace to our society. Right, Nancy Pelosi? Right, Chucky Schumer? right there, kneeling down for George freaking Floyd, not physically and not proverbially. George Floyd was a man who put a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. I don't care what you say. I would take a blowtorch to every single image, mural, statue in George Floyd's honor. The fact that the whole world, I mean figuratively, I wouldn't actually take a blowtorch to it, folks. Don't run out and do it and say Bolling told me to. I'm saying it's BS what they've done. They've elevated George Floyd to sainthood when he was a thug. He was a criminal thug. And to compare him to Charlie Kirk is disgusting. The fact that the whole world watched as our politicians of the highest order knelt down in his honor and sang songs and read speeches in his honor is a stain on this country. The fact that they treat him as a saint worthy of ever of that, the fact that they treat him as a saint worthy of mentioning again, just the fact that they mention his name as a cause for care or tears means that they should be disqualified from any positions of power. I'm sick and tired of letting these people honor and exalt criminals. And this final attempt to make George Floyd resemble anything close to a martyr by conflating his memory with that of an innocent man whose only crime was debating college students who disagreed with him and expressing his own America-loving, America-first views makes them even more evil and horrendous than ever imagined possible. The Democrat Party, as any entity, the entire leftist machine and the propaganda Marxist media they've created, they all deserve their inevitable end. Truly disgusting and shameful antics from the Atlantic. Come to expect that from them. The lowest depths, but enough is enough. Charlie Kirk is no George Floyd. We'll be back 2.5 minutes.
This Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern, history sets sail.
I'm going to have all folks from the Navy, national security experts. You do not want to miss this.
President Donald J. Trump arrives in Norfolk, Virginia, aboard a mighty U.S. aircraft carrier.
Fight, 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 win, win, win.
As America celebrates 250 years of Navy power, brace yourself for missile launches, roaring jets, thunderous firepower, and the full force of America's sea strength on display. Hosted by Steve Bannon, with live reporting from Jack Posobiec and Steve Gruber. Real America's Voice brings you this front row seat to freedom in motion. It's not just coverage, it's a celebration of America's might. RAV presents America 250, Sea Power and Freedom. Coverage begins this Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. See you there.